Welcome to the first of a series of videos on NC Star. We've had these videos up on our Weebly the year before, and they seem to have been very beneficial to the users of the system, and we decided that now with the new platform we would go ahead and recreate them. The first video is going to just guide us through some of the basics of the system and how to set up your profile information, and then videos 2, 3, and 4 will take us deeper into what the tool can do from not only creating your plan to then the reporting features available at both school and district level. With that said, to get into the platform, you basically go to www.industar.org. And this takes us to the National InduStar site. This is Academic Development Institute's site, ADI. Every state that uses their system basically needs to go through them. We log in with our username and password, and then once we're into North Carolina specific information. So I'm going to go ahead and use one of the many practice sites that we have created. And this takes us to the new NC Star. This is a whole new look for those of you that have used the system in the past. We basically took a lot of the feedback from the 1,400 schools that were using this last year and made what many are calling a new and improved version of the old InduStar platform. It is broken down into these 4 boxes that you see in front of you. We got our direction, which is update profile and set direction. Our meetings, which is where we manage those 2 meetings a month that are required in the system. The success cycle, which is where you do the meat of the work. This is what I like to call the workstation area. And then the last part is our progress, which is broken down into the reporting features, where you find your school improvement plan there, which is called a comprehensive plan. And then the feedback area, which is where you would receive the coaching comments, whether it be from district office or from the State Department. With that said, now on the left-hand side is what we used to call the navigation area. This takes you to any of those parts that I've just mentioned. And just to talk a little bit about the other features you have right in front of you, on the right hand of the screen you have the logins information. If you click on the little arrow, it will automatically drop down the guest login and the leadership team login. Remember that the guest login is the one that you would give out to the rest of your staff and anyone in the community that you feel needs to have access to viewing the plan. That includes parents, it could include business partners of the school, anyone that you feel that would want to see the school improvement plan of the school would get the guest access. Leadership team access, the LT one, that's actually given to just the school improvement team members. So those members that actually have been elected and are part of the school improvement team, including the parent representatives, please don't forget them. They would get the LT access, the leadership team access. Right next to it is the document upload folder, and if I click on that, it automatically opens up the document upload area, the filing cabinet as we call it. You are able and can do anything you wish in this area in terms of creating folders, putting files in. Now remember that the purpose of this area is so that you upload any type of evidence, documentation, artifacts when you say that you are a full implementation with something. Now, one of the big concerns always is who can see the documents that you've uploaded into this area. The only people that really see these documents are your district office and the people holding that principal process manager username and password. The principal and process manager are the only ones that are able to upload this information, so they have access to it automatically. And then obviously your district office is doing the coaching, so they would see the documents as well. One common way of doing the document upload area from what we've seen is creating folders that are basically named after the indicator numbers. So like A101, C203, we would know automatically that any files, any pieces of evidence that have to do with those indicators would be found right there in that folder. If I click one of these, C203, there's a monitoring instrument in here. and I can open that monitoring instrument right away and take a look at what that's about. So I'm going to go back to the document upload area. And like we said, you're able to create any folders you want in here. The only thing that we need to be careful with is that there is currently a 175 file limit. So if you're uploading files and once you reach 175, that's it. You're going to have to delete older files to insert new ones. However, we will tell you that you can link as many as you want. So if you're using Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Forms, anything that's online and you want to link to it, that doesn't take up any of the space of the 175. And some people always ask how you do that. Well, if you go right here to upload a new profile, instead of using choose file, which is what opens up the files that you have in your computer, you can automatically link right here. So you link to a web page, you basically copy and paste the URL that Google gives you, and then you just keep on going ahead and naming what the file is going to be. You can insert in any of the folders you've created already, or you can create a new folder. You definitely need to have a description, and then the uploaded by is optional, and then you just press upload and automatically it gets connected. I do know of schools that link to their Google Drive folders. So for example, they've actually created a Google Drive folder called A101, and they just simply link to it, and they automatically just work with their Google Drive, and everything's automatically linked. You're free to do that if you wish. That's fine. But again, the purpose of document upload is to make sure that you have the right evidence pieces, the artifacts that prove that you're doing what you're saying you're doing. To the right of the folder is this little push pin, Thumbtack. If I'm going to click on that real quick to show you what that's about. This is called the bulletin board area. And the only people that are able to send bulletin board messages are the people in district office. So if your district wanted to send out a mass message to every school in that district that uses the platform, so they would just go into their bulletin board, they would type a message, they would press send, and automatically every principal and process manager in that district would get an email saying that there's a bulletin board message in the system. They would go in here, they would read it, and that's basically it. There's no reply feature to this. It is just a mass form of communication to all schools that use the system. That's a big difference than a coaching comment. A coaching comment, which we're going to talk about in another video, is one-to-one private feedback to one school. This is just an alert that goes out to all schools. The other major difference between bulletin board messages and coaching comments is that bulletin board messages go away. Coaching comments are permanent, they're archived in the system. A bulletin board message actually has an expiration date. So when your district actually types up the message, one of the things that they're required to put in is when will the message expire? When will it disappear? On the right hand side of the pushpin thumbtack is this little red area right here, this little red circle, and that's the new logout feature. And that's a huge security improvement in the new platform. Those of you that have used the old system know we did not have a way to log out securely. Now you can simply press the logout button once you're done working, and please remember to do that. That way no one can immediately have access to your information with just opening up your internet browser. But that's a new security feature that we've installed in the new platform. I'm going to go back to the home area. You can go to home just by clicking on the home up here or home on the left hand side. It's going to take us back to where we were. Now I'm going to just talk about the few things that are at the bottom of the screen. So at the very bottom of the screen you have this complete forms area. This is actually for us at the State Department to put any forms that you believe could help you. These are optional forms that we create for you. The one form, we only have one form on there right now, and it's basically a form that a lot of schools and districts had requested from us, which is a needs assessment form. One of the major requirements of Title I schools is that they have to complete a needs assessment every year. So we went ahead and added a form to assist any school and district that wants to use this. Again, this is optional. If there's another needs assessment form that you'd rather use, if there's something else that you're doing right now in your school and district that you'd rather go with, that's perfectly fine, but we've included this one in the system. You basically would just open it up by clicking on it. It is broken down into 16 pages, but before you get scared about the length of this, page number 1 is basically a deep data dive where you actually work together to respond to questions not only about student achievement and growth data, but then we also go into student attendance, discipline, demographic, retention data. We jump into teacher data, recruitment, retention, and attendance, and then we end it with perception data. So the very first page is a deep data dive. Our hope is that you really go in there and look at trends that are occurring in the data, and that will help you in the creation of your plan. Now, first page is data. After that, when we go into the next page of the needs assessment, you basically have instructions on the rubric that we've attached. So the next 14, 15 pages are all a rubric that you fill out. Now, the benefits of the rubric, I'm just going to jump here to any of these pages, is that you basically fill out the rubric by inserting a 4 for leading, 3 for embedding, 2 for emerging, and 1 for lacking. So I'm just going to put some numbers here real quick. I'm going to say we're 4 there, 4 there. I'll say 3, 3, 3. And I'll just say we're a 1. And once you have done grading yourselves on the rubric on this page, you basically add up the numbers. So we have 4, 4, 4, that's 12, plus 10, 22, 23, 24. And we got 24 total points. Unfortunately, it does not do the math for you, but you can do the math yourself by just following the simple formulas we've established. Then you have 24 divided by 36 times 100. And that's going to give us roughly 67%. So when you do this and you do every single page on here, it's basically giving you, you're figuring out percentages for each of these letter number combinations. And the reason those letter number combinations have been set up this way, and every page is a different letter number, is because this now matches the indicators. So exactly, you're going to have percentages for each of the little buckets of indicators in NC Star, and you will be able to then figure out which of those buckets you really need to work more on and might want to include some additional indicators in your plan. But that's how we've aligned the needs assessment found in NC Star to the work in NC Star, so that it can actually help you in each of these buckets that we've created with the indicators. And I'll show you exactly where those are when we go into planning, which is video number 2. I'm going to go ahead and close this. In the submissions section is where you actually archive your work. Those of you that have used the system in the past know that twice a year we actually create these little submit buttons to show up twice a year. One time they'll show up in the fall. We actually have already established a date for this year, somewhere between November 7th and December 8th. We ask you to press submit. And then in the spring, we basically leave it pretty open until May 11th. You have the chance to press the submit button. The reason we recommend schools press submit is because what happens is once you press the submit button, it basically takes all your work and creates a PDF with a date stamp on it. And the reason for this is because NC Star is all about continuous improvement processes. And following the continuous improvement model, it means that your plan is constantly changing. It's constantly being edited, modified, and you're constantly making revisions to it. With that said, if you ever wanted to see an old version of the plan, you would have no way of doing it unless you had these saved PDFs in this area. And that's why we do this, so that you're able to twice a year save 2 copies of your plan, and that way in the future you can go back and say, I want to look at an old copy of my plan, and here it is. You just open it up, click on it, and you have an old version of it. With that said, we've also added the needs assessment. We clearly talked about how that's optional, but if you're one of those schools that's decided to do this on a yearly basis, then every year you're able to press the submit button, and automatically it's going to save copies of your needs assessments every single year. The last option down here is the snapshot area. And the snapshot just gives you a quick snapshot of what's going on in the system. When the last meeting took place, when was the last time we assessed an indicator, last action that was added. Please remember that this is a new vocabulary word. It used to be tasks in the system. Now we have them called actions, for action steps. And that was actually a big request from the field. People wanted to see the words action steps instead of tasks. So we went ahead with the change. When the last coaching comment was received from district office, when your next meeting is, and then these are 2 very important numbers here. Past due objectives, which for those of you that forget, an objective is an indicator that's in your plan that you guys are working on. Or past due actions, which are those action steps that you write in the plan that you might have not checked one as done already and it's past due. And then you have this one right here, which helps any principal out what it exactly is due in the next 30 days. That lets you look ahead, see what's coming up in the next 4 weeks, and all this is available in the snapshot area. Now, I will like to say that the snapshot is visible to your guests. So just like we talked about, your guests can see your school improvement plan, your guests can also see these numbers. The only difference is that your guests only see the numbers. They do not see links. So you guys actually can click on past due objectives and it will show you what's past due. Or you can click on what's due in the next 30 days and you can see exactly what is due in the next 30 days. Your guests only have access to the numbers. They only can see the numbers that are visible here. So that gives you a quick, short explanation of what you have in front of you. Let's talk a little bit about these 4 big boxes that we see here. The numbers in the middle, and that's always a big question, is how do these numbers work? So we'll start with the 3 on the right. These are 90-day counters, each of these. So they basically tell me how many meetings have happened in the last 3 months. It's not the entire school year. That's constantly an email that we get. Why doesn't this show all my meetings? It just shows the last 3 months, the last 90 days. Same thing goes for actions completed. In other words, how many tasks, how many action steps you've actually marked completed in the last 90 days, the last 3 months. And the same things goes for objectives met. That's how many indicators in the last 3 months have you guys all marked full implementation. Typically, this objectives met number grows towards the end of the year because that's when you're finally able to say you're meeting some of your objectives because it took you the whole school year to get there, and that's normal. Obviously, this number right here is a number you would like to see. You want to see 6 meetings in 90 days because you know that one of the key indicators in NC STAR, one of the required indicators, is that you have 2 meetings a month recorded in the system. Please remember that a meeting in NC STAR will not count unless you have agendas and meeting minutes. You have to have both for the meetings to count, and we will go over agendas and meeting minutes in one of the other videos that we put up on the Weebly. With that said, this video is mainly about the update profile section. So I'm going to go ahead and click on update profile. And in the update profile is basically where you would type the school information. So you just need to make sure that your school name is correct, the address, city, so on and so forth. You type in who the school principal is, and then who the process manager is. It is very, very important that the email addresses for both of these individuals is typed carefully, because the reason is that your district will be sending you those coaching comments or those bulletin board messages, and if there's a typo in these emails, then you will never receive those emails, and then your district will be wondering why you're not replying. So be very careful with that. Once you've made any changes to those 2 areas, you make sure you save school information. And then at the very bottom here is where we add the team members. This is where you need to make sure you add not only principal and process manager, but you add everyone else that's part of your school improvement team. I will say that one common trend is for everyone to put teacher, 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 teacher. Please go ahead and make that more specific. If you're wondering how you do that, you would just click on the person's name and you would go ahead and say other, and other would allow you to type any type of teacher you want. So let's just say that Alessandra in this case is a 4th grade teacher. You go ahead and save that, and it automatically updates to say Alessandra's a 4th grade teacher. The reason for doing that is so that the public, when they read the plan, they actually know why exactly Jessica is taking care of all the science things, why Alessandra would be taking care of 4th grade information. So that's what that's all about. Very, very important. We must follow the law in North Carolina with regards to school improvement. And you know that you must have at least one parent representative as part of your school improvement team. So make sure you add them to here. If for whatever reason the parent does not have an email address, please make sure that your school or district assists them with creating some type of email. So when you find out that who exactly at the district level is going to be supporting the school improvement process at your school, then you go ahead and add them as well. You can add them as district staff, which is the option that NC Star automatically places, or you can type your own title just like we did here with 4th grade teacher. So you can say curriculum director, high school director, whatever you want. The purpose of adding district staff is not that they go to your meetings unless they want to. It basically is that they're going to be receiving emails when you create agendas and meeting minutes. Automatically, NC Star allows you to send everyone a notification when agendas and meeting minutes have been created. Okay, so at the very bottom, you have the school demographics area. This is completely optional because in North Carolina we do use PowerSchool to collect a lot of our data. But that's basically the update profile section. This is just to maintain the information. I will say one more thing before I leave this area. If someone leaves the school, for example, Michelle Williams is no longer the assistant principal, you go ahead and click, and please remove Michelle Williams entirely. One of the biggest mistakes we can do is actually just typing the new assistant principal's name. Like, for example, let's say I say Jason Williams just came in and became the new assistant principal. If I do this and did not remove the old one and press save, all it does is it erases from past history everywhere it said Michelle Williams, and it actually puts Jason Williams. So all it did was just a name change. And we don't want to do that. We actually want to remove the person and then add who the new assistant principal is. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove this one entirely. I'll click remove, and automatically I get a confirmation on the right hand side. The team member's been removed, and you see that she no longer appears here. And then I go ahead and add the new assistant principal, whoever they may be. But that's very, very important when we keep that updated, keep that clean so that the right people get the emails that they're supposed to get. Once you're done with updating the profile, then I'm just going to go back to the home area. So we just follow. We then go to set direction for you. Again, thanks a lot for watching video number 1. Have a great day.